Thanks for joining us all. Today I'm going to be showing you how to fold this modular cube by the late Lewis Simon. Best paper size, if you've got it, is 10 centimeter. That's this, or 4-inch. If you're brave enough, you can fold it with 7.5 or 3-inch. So just for comparison, this is the 3-inch one on the left, and this is the 4-inch or the 10 centimeter on the right. Color wise, this is just regular blue and white cami. It's quite nice if you fold it with duo cami, so that's yellow and blue cami. And this is with 3 different colors. So I've got yellow, which you can see are the vertical pieces at the moment, and then if I turn it round, you've got green, which are vertical pieces, and if I turn it once more, you've got red vertical pieces. So this is 3 colors, 4 of each if you fancy having a more colorful one, or just the plain ones. So I'll switch over to my other camera. Okay, so hopefully you can see that okay. I'm going to be folding with 15 centimeter or 6-inch paper. And to start with, I'm going to show you how to fold a template. This model requires 1/3 folds, which some of you may be comfortable with just guessing or using a template. But I'm just going to show you how to fold a quick template. So I've got a pink piece of paper, which hopefully you can see okay, and colored side facing up. We're going to put a diagonal fold in by bringing this bottom left-hand corner up to the top right. When the 2 corners are aligned, create your fold, and then unfold. And we're going to turn the paper over. So we've got the white side showing now, and I've got the diagonal crease running from the bottom left to the top right. And I'm going to fold the left-hand edge over to the right-hand side. Make a nice firm crease. There are several methods for folding thirds, and this is geometrically accurate. But obviously with the thickness of the paper and the accuracy you're folding it, it's not essential. This is close enough, really. So what we should see, I'm not sure if you can see it clearly, but there's a crease at half of our diagonal crease running along here. I'll just draw that in for you. And this should be a valley crease. And then what we want to do is we want to create a crease which comes from the top right-hand side down to the bottom left. So because this edge is folded at the bottom, it will naturally pivot on this bottom edge. And we want the crease to start on the bottom left, and we want it to finish exactly on this top right corner. And the more accurate you can be with this template, the better your thirds will be for the finished model. Okay, and then we can unfold everything. So I'm going to take this white layer and unfold. Now, this has created a key intersection here. So that crease we just put in, which runs along here, intersects with the diagonal crease, which runs the opposite way. And that point there is a third of the width of the paper. So from here to this cross is 1/3, and from the cross to the right-hand side is 2/3. So what we're going to do, I'm going to turn it round through 180 degrees, and I'm going to bring the left edge now across to that intersection. And the reason for doing the valley and mountain folds the way we have is so that it's easier to see a mountain fold. So now we've got 1/3 of the paper here, and then underneath we've got 2/3 of the paper. Now I just realized I forgot to mention, for those who are interested, diagrams for this are in Practical Origami by Rick Beach. The version I've got, it's on page 241 to 243, so that's this book here. And I believe it's been published under various different names as well. So now we've got our thirds template, we can actually put it to use. So I've got my paper. I'm going to use green and white paper, and at this point it's important to note the grain of the paper. Some of you may have heard about the grain of paper before, others might not. If I take this piece of paper and I hold it just really lightly between my fingers, it naturally wants to roll this way. If I turn it round through 90 degrees, it does sink a little bit, but it feels to be more tension in that direction. And it's important when we're folding that we have the grain running top to bottom. So that's when the paper naturally sinks like this when we hold it. For clarity, I'm going to turn it over to the white side. So I'll put these pieces to one side. And if we repeat this on all of our pieces of paper, then we'll all be at the same point. I'm going to turn everything round again. So I've got the flap of my pink template on the right. And this doesn't really matter, it's whatever you're most comfortable with. Remembering the grain of the paper running top to bottom. I slide my piece of paper into the template and push it all the way up. Now I like to leave a little overlap here, because what that does is we've got a section along here and also a little section along the bottom, and they need to be parallel. If my paper isn't straight in the template, if it's like that, for example, it makes it really obvious because we get like wedge shapes. So it's just a visual indicator really. So push that all the way up and bring the left hand edge, the raw edge, to meet the raw edge of the template and create a crease. So now we're done with the template. We've got our 1/3 and we've got 2/3. We'll be introducing all two of the thirds folds, but we'll put that to one side, and we're just going to repeat that with every piece of paper. So again, check that you've got the grain running vertically, so it should sink in the middle if you've got it running vertically. If you haven't, it doesn't sink as much. I've just realized I've already got pen all over my fingers. So I'm pushing it into the template as far as it'll go, making sure that these are parallel, and bringing the left-hand edge over to the template, making a nice sharp crease, and then we can remove the paper from the template. And then I'm just going to repeat that on all pieces of paper. What I like to do when I'm preparing paper for a model, and you'll find generally when you get paper out of a pack, the grain will run all the same way, but I like to pick each sheet up in turn and just check it, and maybe even double check it. it seems a little crazy, but if the creases run with the direction of the grain, they're a lot easier to fold. And this model has quite a lot of creases running in the same direction. So it means you don't have to fight the paper quite as much. So I'm just going to work my way through this, and then when I've finished all the pieces, we'll do a bit of a poll, if that's okay, Lee, and just check that we're all at the same place.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Once we've finished putting these initial creases in, I'm going to switch to just folding one unit at a time. But don't worry, because I'll go through it more than once. And also, if don't worry if you're not able to complete all of the pieces by the end of the session. As long as you've got 2, preferably 3, you should be able to understand how they go together. As Lizzie mentioned earlier on this morning, origami is all about the enjoyment. There's no point in rushing what you're doing.
Hello, Ed. This is Tony here.
Hello, Tony.
Hello. Just one comment that's come through from Jam Potts. She says the grain feels much more obvious on some coloured papers than others. I guess it's a type of paper, or sometimes depends on
yes
feel between the different papers.
It is. It is obvious on some papers more than others. I'm not sure if it's to do with the way it's been manufactured. I mean, some papers, particularly European craft, obviously it's got the lines on it, so the grain is, there's a visual indication as well. But I mean, it doesn't really matter if you fold them with the grain in different directions. It's just you seem to fight the paper a little bit more. And I've always found just simply, I'll just pick this piece of paper off a pile, and when I hold it that way, it seems, I mean, it does roll, but it seems quite rigid. And then when I hold it this way, it just seems a lot more fluid, and that's a good way of finding it. Okay, so I've in Blue Peter fashion, I've actually prepared a few pieces, so I've only done 9. But how is everyone with just getting that first third crease in? Perhaps we could do a quick poll.
So, how many pieces of paper do you want people to have creased with the 1/3, Ed?
If we could do all 12, and then we know we've got the grain running the right way, and then it doesn't really matter from there.
Yeah. Okay, let's see.
Okay.
Also, it may seem obvious, but if people have done a step, then they should probably crack on and do the same step on other sheets rather than waiting for Ed to sort of show them each time.
Yes, absolutely. Once I've folded one unit, it's a relatively simple unit. If people want to crack on and continue at their own pace, that's absolutely fine. And then I'll just sort of check in once we've got sort of 2 or 3 pieces and show you how it goes together. Okay.
We need a bit more time. People are.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, so that's cool.
Yeah, no worries.
I might give it maybe a minute or so and just run another poll to make sure we've got people with us, if that's okay with everyone.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
There is, of course, another alternative that you take a square that's a quarter larger, divide it into 4, and then chop off a quarter of each side.
Absolutely, yes. It's interesting you should mention that, because I don't know about everyone else, but I haven't got much 10cm paper. And so when I was folding these examples, which are 10cm, I actually used a thirds template and cut a third off two of the edges to get the 10cm. And it seems a bit daft because it leaves you with loads of bits of paper, but 1x3 and 1x2 rectangles are quite useful for other models. And if you don't want 1x2 and 1x3, you can just cut them up into smaller 5cm or 2-inch squares, which are always useful for modular things. So as some of you may have guessed or already know, I love my modular origami. I'm not really a designer myself, but I do enjoy folding other people's designs.
Shall we poll again and see if we're
Yep.
having everyone with us? Hang on a second.
In terms of what Lizzie was saying earlier, modulars are certainly a wonderful kind of mindful thing. Because if you're doing an elephant, then maybe every third or fourth step you have to stop and think, what is it on about?
Yes.
But with modular folds, by and large, the folding isn't the difficult part, it's the assembly where you need a bit of...
It is, yes. There's some models where you fold all the pieces and then you sort of pulling your hair out trying to get them together at the end.
Get the old clothes pegs out.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've got a little... fantastic. I think we're good to move on. Yeah, these are...
a few more seconds, so yeah, show us.
There's a little... I mean, these came from Paper Chase, but you can get them from craft stores. Tiny little pegs, which are fantastic for tricky modulars. Okay, so I'm going to move all these pieces to one side, and I'm going to rotate the paper like this, horizontally. So we've got 1/3 at the top, and when we open it up, we've got 2/3 at the bottom. So we need to introduce the other third. So if I turn my paper around, and you're more than welcome to fold the paper however you feel most comfortable with. I find folding left to right most comfortable. So I'm going to create a little bridge here. All I'm doing is I'm just leaving that fold at right angles. I'm going to bring the left edge over, and you can push the paper up against that edge and it will stop. And then once I've got it in place, I can make a crease. And then now we've split the paper into thirds. And that method isn't 100% accurate for if you're doing a grid or something for a tessellation and you've got 16 32 divisions. That method isn't too accurate, but for simple divisions it's more than accurate enough. Okay, and then I'm going to turn the paper around again, and we need to bring this raw edge up to meet this folded edge. And again, I'm going to turn my paper around, and this is the more accurate way of dividing the paper up. It just so happens that this also is the fold we need for this model. So then we unfold that, and we bring this raw edge again to the crease that we've just created. And this is a little tricky. We need to get both ends as accurate as we can. And then when we've got both the ends in the right place, make a crease. And we'll leave that folded this time and fold along the crease we made in the previous step. So if I unfold that, we've rolled the paper around on top of itself. Can't get that piece up now. So we've got our original third, we've divided it in two, we've unfolded, we've divided the half, so we've put a quarter of the third in, And then we've left that folded and folded over again like that. Okay. Could we just have a quick poll to see if everyone's got that? Because the next step's the same, but if you've all got that, you should understand the next step, and I'll go through it anyway.
Okay, most people are there, Ed. 1 or 2 people want a little bit longer.
Okay.
Perhaps if you just repeat that last part
one
more time, and then we can...
Okay. So if we go back to the 1/3, I introduced a crease in the middle of the 1/3 by bringing the raw edge to the folded edge. Make a nice sharp crease. Then I unfolded, and I brought the raw edge to the crease that we just made, the halfway crease of the 1/3. So I've effectively made a 1/4 of the 1/3 now. And then I leave that folded, and then I roll it over again along the crease that's already there. Okay, so we've got this stripe effectively. On my paper, I've got green on the right-hand side and a white stripe on the left. And then we're going to repeat all of these steps again. So on the other side, so I'm going to turn my paper around. Actually, no, I'm not. Yes, no, sorry, I am. Fold this 1/3, and then I'm going to bring this raw edge on the left-hand side to meet the folded edge on the right. I'm going to make a crease, unfold that last step. So now we've halved that 1/3, and I'm going to fold this raw edge to this folded edge. And this is a little tricky because it's difficult to see the fold because it's a valley rather than a mountain, but if you get it as accurate as you can at one end and then repeat at the other end. And when you're happy with the 2 ends, you can make your crease all the way. And then we're folding that over again on the existing crease. So we should have something that looks like that. We've got a 1/4 which is green, another 1/4 which is white on the left, another 1/4 on the right-hand side which is white, and on the far right we've got a 1/4 which is green. And if I just hold that up like that, you can see what we're aiming for there. That's how the paper should look. And if I just poke this in there, you can see the extra layer of paper that we folded over, and it's the same on the right-hand side as well. Okay. So now I'm going to turn the paper through 90 degrees. And just before I move on, have we all got one piece that looks like this now?
Do you want me to check that as well?
Yeah, please.
It's yeah, we've got a question if you could repeat that actually. So maybe just repeat that last step, and that'll give people...
Absolutely. Okay, so if I go back to, we were like that. So we had a 1/3 on the left-hand side, and this 1/3 on the right there were no creases in it. So this crease was already here. So I put that crease back in, and at this point we just have a plain 1/3 of the paper without any creases in. I bring the raw edge over to the folded edge on the right-hand side, make a firm crease along the middle, unfold, And then I bring the raw edge to the crease that I've just created. That's this crease in the middle, like so. And then I leave that folded, and I fold over the existing crease that we made in the previous step, like that. And then if I just show you the layers of the paper, so it looks like that at the top, and there's, oh, sorry, can't hold it still here. There's a little flap there, and also on the right hand side. So here all the creases are running in the correct direction. We just need to flatten everything out, like so. Okay, so if we could maybe just have a poll to see if everyone's got to that point.
Okay, let's try.
That's a fantastic folding tool you've got there, Ed. Where did you get it?
It's wonderful. Yes, I purchased it from you at one of the conventions. Yeah, it's really nice, and it's ever so comfortable. It's good as a pointer and as a poker, and then you can obviously use this edge to flatten things out. So yeah, highly recommended.
Available from nickorigami.com.
Yeah.
Okay. We are, as you can see, almost there, Ed. So I
fantastic. Okay,
I'll
move on nice and slowly. So I'm going to lift up this top edge, and this is where I deviate very slightly from the instructions in the book, but I find it's slightly easier, and it doesn't introduce extra creases that you don't need. So we lift this topmost flap up, and we're focusing on this crease here. So we're going to bring this bottom left point, the green point on my paper, up to this edge here. We're going to create an angle bisector here. So I'll just demonstrate that for you. And I want the bisector to be in line with this fold that we've just lifted up. So we should create a 45-degree right angled triangle here. Okay. And then I can fold that back down. Or actually, having said that, we'll need to unfold that in a second. But so that's on the left-hand side. So if I rotate my paper through 180 degrees, and I'm going to unfold the bottom flap, release this triangle that we've created. I'm going to put the bottom flap back in again, so we're back to where we were before we did that previous step. And then, as before, I'm going to open the top flap back up, and we're interested in this crease along here. So we're going to create an angle bisector here by bringing this bottom left corner up to meet this line. And it's worth noting, if you bring this edge, which was running vertically, if you bring that edge really tightly up to that line, you might struggle to fold this down. So if you can leave yourself just a tiny bit of space here, and it's less than a millimeter, that'll help. The more you fold it, the more you get used to how much you need to leave. So I've folded that triangle now, and I'm going to bring this top layer back down again. And this is created almost a rotationally symmetrical piece. So if we turn it around through 180, and what I want to do is lift the flap on the top up, but I don't want to release it on the right hand side. I want to keep that closed, and then reintroduce this triangular crease here, and just tuck that in, and because all the creases are there, it should naturally go where it needs to. So now we've got this shaped piece. So perhaps we could just do one more poll to see how we're getting on. If for now, if we could all focus on just getting one piece, and then I'll repeat it a little bit quicker. Again, okay.
Looks promising, Ed. I think pretty much everyone is saying that they're
Brilliant.
move on. They are.
Ah, fantastic. Okay, so now I'm going to turn the piece over. So we've got a predominantly, with my paper, it's predominantly green. And we need to focus on this bottom left-hand corner. Now, we've got a white triangle here. And if I just draw on this, if we have an imaginary line coming down from where this green and white is down vertically to the bottom, we've got another green triangle. So that's the imaginary bit that we need to sort of visualize. If we bring this bottom left point up to meet this white-green intersection, so it's another angle bisector, and fold that as neatly as you can. And then we're going to repeat with this little white triangle. You can fold it all in one go, but I find it's a little more accurate if you fold the top layer first, which is the green layer. And then we're just folding along the edge that's already there and just pull it as tightly as you can. So you get a little white triangle and this green bit. Okay, and then we're going to rotate the model. There's a lot of rotation and repetition with quite a few modular pieces. So you sort of get into the flow. Although it can catch you out if it's not a symmetrical unit. So as before, the bottom point on the left, we're going to bring up to this intersection of the white and the green. Like so. And then repeat with this little white triangle, pulling it as tightly as you can. So it looks like that. Okay. And then all we need to do, we need to just undo these two creases. They'll stand up a little bit, but like so. And then what we need to do is rotate the model very slightly, 45 degrees, so that these two edges, the shorter edges of the parallelogram, are running horizontally. And we now need to focus on this point up here at the top and this point down here at the bottom. This point needs to lie on top of this point here. And what that'll do, that'll bring this edge in line with this edge. So I'll just demonstrate that for you. So you can see this edge it's flat all the way across the top, all bar these white bits. So I'll undo that. This bottom point to meet the top point, and this bottom edge should lie in the same place as the top edge. Okay. So that is one completed unit. And this fold we've just made, just loosen it a little bit. doesn't really matter. It'll go to the correct angle when we assemble it, and just maybe reinforce these previous steps a little bit. So perhaps we could just have one more poll to see if everyone's got one piece.
Can I just check, Ed?
Yeah.
Where time is moving apace. How many units do people need to get the idea for the assembly?
To get the idea for the assembly, we just need 3.
Right, so if everybody can try and get 3 done as quickly as possible.
Yeah. If fantastic. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just repeat everything that we've done already. I'll move through it a little bit quicker this time, and the more pieces you do, the quicker you'll get. So I've already got 1/3 in, so I unfold this third, and if you recall, if we leave it up slightly, sort of at right angles to the rest of the paper, we can bring this raw edge on the left and push it into that crease, and it'll naturally stop there. When we've got it in place, we can make a crease. And then I'm going to turn my paper around. So we've now got all of our thirds. I'm going to bring this raw edge in the center out to the right. And then unfold the raw edge again, but this time we fold into the crease we've just made. I'm going to turn my paper around slightly, just so I can get the creases nice and accurate at either end before I commit to folding it all the way. Okay, and then fold over the crease we made previously. And then I turn around and repeat on the other side. So fold this third over along an existing crease. Bring this raw edge on the left-hand side to the folded edge on the right-hand side of the model, or of the unit, sorry. Create a crease, unfold, and bring this raw edge to the crease we've just made. Again, we need to make sure that these ends are nice and accurate before we commit to the crease. Reinforce it all the way along and fold along the existing crease. And this is all of these creases that we've just made. This is where the grain of the paper is really handy if it's running the right way. If any of you have accidentally folded it the opposite way, you'll notice it's quite a fight to get all of these creases running parallel to each other. So then we're going to lift the top flap up, and we're going to fold this bottom left corner to lie along this crease that we've got, and this left hand edge will lie along that crease, like so. And then we unfold that. Fold the flap back down again. Rotate your paper. This time we're going to lift the opposite flap, the top one, and repeat. So this bottom left corner lies on that crease we've already got, and it bisects this angle between the left hand edge and the crease we already had. So now we can leave that crease folded. Fold the top flap back down. turn around and lift the top flap up, but keep it trapped on the right hand side, and tuck this triangle in. The creases are already there, so you shouldn't have to fight the paper at this point. It should just, and that locks it together. Turn the paper over, and this is where we've got our imaginary square formed of a green and a white triangle, and we're going to bring this bottom left corner up to this intersection of the white and the green. Fighting it a bit there, I've got a bit of a crumple in the middle, so if we try and, that's better, get rid of that, and then fold this white triangle, just wrap it up along that crease we've just made, turn it around, and same as before, so this bottom left point up to the intersection of the white and the green. Make our crease, and then wrap this white triangle along the crease we just made. Okay, and then we can undo these creases we've just made, just relax them slightly. Turn the model through 45 degrees, and now we're focusing on this bottom point and this top point up here. These two points need to lie on top of each other, and to do that, this bottom straight edge will lie along the top straight edge. So bottom point to top point, like so, and make a nice firm crease. Okay, so hopefully you should have two pieces now, at least. I'll run through that once more, but I won't explain it in quite as much detail. Obviously, if you're struggling, just ask a question, and someone will direct that towards me.
Ed, while you're folding that, did get asked a question earlier to carry on folding, please.
Yeah.
That someone using 3 different colours. I presume when you're making the final, when you're assembling them, if you're using 3 colours,
Yeah.
you use the same sequence in each of the sets of 3, or have you experimented with that sort of thing?
All the pieces need to be the same handedness, so they're not really any different to each other. The way in which you assemble them can be different. It depends what pattern you want. So on this one, I wanted to have 3 colours meeting at every corner of the cube. So that means I've got a red one here, and as you can see, all the reds are vertical at the moment. If I turn it around, I've got yellow pieces now, all the yellow ones are vertical. And if I turn it once more, I've now got the green pieces running vertically. So that's the way you would put it together if you wanted to have the colours evenly distributed.
Okay, that's clear. Thanks, Ed.
No worries. I mean, for beginners, I suppose it's easiest really just to use all of the same colour. One thing I quite like about modular origami is it doesn't matter if you don't finish a piece straight away or a model straight away. You can always pick it up again and fold a few more pieces, add them to the finished model. So it's good if you just got short bits of time, you want to fold a few pieces, or maybe you've got a short attention span and you don't want to be sitting for hours at a time. Okay, if we could just have a quick poll, Lee. I'm not sure the best way of doing it. Perhaps if people answer yes, if you've got 3 pieces.
I've made a new, in anticipation of that,
fantastic.
Made a new poll that asks how many pieces people have got. Just
brilliant.
And I'll trigger that one.
Fantastic. I'd be mighty impressed if anyone's got all 12.
Oh, there's some people out there, Ed.
Yeah.
There's no option for 0, Lee.
I missed that out. Okay. I think we've got a lot of people ready to do a 3-unit assembly there, Ed. So perhaps that's what
fantastic.
And I'll show you the results. You can see just what the
wow.
speedy folders we've got out there.
Fantastic. Okay, brilliant. Wow, some people have got 12. Crikey. Okay, so I'm just going to move these to one side for a minute, and looking at the model, for those who are very mathematically minded, it's a truncated cube, which means it's a cube with the corners cut off, and they've got these sort of star-shaped voids in each face. But essentially, it's a cube, and at each corner we need 3 pieces. So we'll put that to one side and go back to the unit. What we've got here is a flap. So this right-angled triangle is a flap, and this right-angled triangle is a flap as well. So there's 2 flaps, one on the left-hand side and one on the right. And then we've also got 2 pockets. So this white band, you can go underneath it, and that's a pocket there. And it's the same on the other side of the unit. That's a pocket there. So if we take 2 pieces and we orientate them like so. So we've got one going up, if you imagine like a V shape. One's going up the left-hand side and one's going up the right-hand side. And what we need to focus on, this long fold here needs to line up with this short fold of the flap. So we take the flap, place it on top of the unit on the right, and slide it into the pocket. So you can see it's gone part way in. And when I can keep sliding, and then it'll stop. So just get that a bit closer. So it's out completely at the moment. I took that into the pocket, and then I'm concentrating on keeping this fold on the flap lined up with this fold on the main unit, and then slide it all the way until it stops. And that's quite a firm connection, but it would fall out if you really shook the model. So we've got two now. So if we just fold these back slightly, you can see that's 2 edges of one side of our cube. So I'll take a 3rd piece now, and I want to slide the flap, this time on the right-hand unit, into a pocket on the left. So I need to make sure that this fold on the flap lines up with the fold on the main unit. and then I push the two together like so until it stops. And you might have already guessed, but this flap here that's floating around goes into this pocket here. See if I can show that a bit clearer. Okay. Now you need to sort of put a little bit of tension in the model, but try not to introduce any extra creases, and just slide that in. And you can see at the moment, I haven't got these two edges aligned, which I was talking about. So this time it's just a case of rotating it around, coaxing it in nice and gently, and pulling to align those edges. And now we can see those edges align. So that is one corner of our cube. So we've got part of one face, square face there, part of a square face there, and part of a square face there. So we haven't got any full square faces yet, but we do have one complete corner. So perhaps we could just have another poll. I can take that apart and demonstrate it again if anyone would like me to.
We've got a request to do the third unit into the third pocket.
Third unit into the third pocket. Okay.
Just repeat that if you could, please.
So we would like that. So we've got the 3 units joined together, but we want to get this flap. Fantastic. So this flap on the left-hand unit into this pocket here. Okay. So we can't align this folded edge with this folded edge straight away. So it's a case of sort of getting the flap on top and then tucking a corner underneath into that pocket and slide it, keep sliding. We're nearly there now. We've got this edge on the flap that we need to align with the edge on the other unit. And we just rotate it around, coax it in, and pushing the left-hand unit into the right-hand unit as far as it'll go. And then when they're aligned, you can reinforce that if needs be, but we shouldn't be adding any extra creases at this point. They should all be there. Okay.
That's great. I'm guessing, Lee, that we've got 7 minutes left. Is there perhaps some hints on adding more units and completing the full 12 pieces?
Absolutely, yeah. I've got 3 more pieces which I prepared earlier. So we've got a completed corner here now. So we take one of the loose flaps and another unit, and we're looking at this line, this crease that runs through the middle of the unit, sliding the flap into the pocket, like so, and pushing it all the way till it stops. Now we've got 2 separate units on that corner. We take a third one. So I'm sliding this flap on the loose unit into the pocket on the assembly. And push it all the way in. Then we get to this point where this is getting rather big to see on the camera. Unfortunately, I can't lift the camera up any higher, so we want to get this flap here into this pocket here. So it's a case of this one, we're sort of coaxing it in, and we want to rotate it, rotate it round until it aligns, and slide it down like so. Okay, so that's a second corner done. So you can see the cube shape starting to form now. We've got like almost a tent shape. We've got two units at the top, 2 units at the bottom, and then a unit joining those together. So I'm afraid I've only got 1 more unit at the moment, but again, we've taken this flap here, sliding it into the pocket on the new unit and pushing all the way till it stops. Remember, if I slide it out a little bit, this fold on the flap needs to line up with the fold that runs through the middle of the other unit. Push it all the way. So now we've got a couple of units here which need joining. So again, we need to sort of coax this one in. We don't want to pull the model apart, but we don't want to add any extra creases, so it might just be a case of loosening things up a little bit. Slide it in. Again, these creases need to, oops, pulling it apart, line up. So slide that in like so.
Okay, Ed, just another comment.
Yeah.
My joint pieces keep falling apart. Is this where you need your little pegs, perhaps, to keep things together if you get things joining up?
Yeah, you can do. It shouldn't, but if it does, I'll just show you. These are the tiny little pegs. You could clip, for example, these are a little small for this size of paper, actually. You could clip over there on that corner. So this is 1 unit, and then there's another unit there, which we want to keep those together. Or maybe if you wanted, you could clip them there. My paper's a little big for the pegs, unfortunately. But yeah, it's sort of a case of you might need to allow it to come apart a little bit to get the pieces in. So I've got four pieces on the bottom now, which form the first face. I've got 2 side supports or struts. And then if I turn it around, I need a piece up. You can't see it. A piece going up here, a piece up here. So that's like a square on the bottom, 4 pieces coming up the side, and then I would have 4 pieces to form the top. And this is.
I think we're just got a couple of minutes left. I guess these probably lining up the next class. So I think probably best call it a halt. But presumably there's some. Have you got any recommendations for a particular paper that would help anybody whose units have fallen apart?
Yeah, if you're struggling with the units sliding apart, it could be because the paper's a little bit slippy. So it's more noticeable on duo paper. Sometimes it's almost shiny. You can see here this unit wants to slide out. So if you're really struggling with your paper, just regular printer paper. It's almost rough texture, and the friction helps to hold it together. I mean, some sort of really quite high quality printer paper might be quite smooth and shiny. It needs to feel sort of rough to the touch. So if I just get 2,
so the rougher the better, then, Ed. The rougher the better.
Rougher the better. Yeah. If I get 2 pieces of cami, the coloured side is usually quite shiny, and that'll slide around quite a bit. But the white side is usually a bit more grippy. So yeah, if you're struggling, something that's got a bit of texture to it should help hold it together. But
Okay.
it's
Got some comment. Yeah, sorry, carry on, Ed.
I was going to say it's scary where the time's gone. Hopefully you've all been able to fold at least a few pieces and you understand the assembly method. But yeah,
So some people finish the whole cube here, Ed. I made the
gosh,
cube. It's a nice cube. So I think it depends on the speed of your folding, I guess, and if people can finish this in their own time, I guess, because there's 12 units. I think
yeah,
we're just about like the same class, or they can watch the recording back if they're they're unsure of any classes. But it looks like some people have finished the cube, and other people are well on their way. Lots of nice comments saying beautiful model, fantastic, and nice teaching, Ed. So
thank you.
teaching, nice cube, and classic model. Years since I folded it.
Yeah, it's
So
one I dug out that I haven't folded for years either. So yeah, thank you very
brilliant.
much.
Okay, thank you very much, Ed. I'll hand back to